Alrighty. So everybody, we're here with Freddie Roach. I'm literally from DiamondBoxing.com, main bar. Freddie, thanks again for seeing us. Appreciate it. So I have a couple of sections for the questions. Some are from the fans.
Yep.
Some are from myself. And some are, of course, about the coming up Paulie Malignaggi Amir Khan fight.
Okay.
Let's start with those. Freddie, is Paulie Amir's toughest opponent so far?
I don't think so. I'm studying tape on him. I mean, you know, for his ability, he really went a long way. I mean, to win a world title is not everyone can do that in life, of course, but his box ability is not that great, though. I mean, but he is world champion. I respect that, and I think Kintelnik was a much tougher fight than this one. But we'll see on the 15th.
Sounds good. How difficult is it to find a sparring partner to replicate Paulie's boxing style?
I got a kid coming in from Detroit, Perez. He's 20-0 as a pro, fights just like Paulie. Sticks his tongue out, does all the bullshit. I can't wait to get him here. He'll be here on Sunday.
Sunday, okay, sounds good. And do you think that Amir has the skills and the persona to potentially become as big as Manny Pacquiao?
Well, you know, Pacquiao, it took us 8 years to get to this level. Amir's a 22-year-old young man. We're just entering our second year, so that's a really tough question. You know, a lot depends on how, you know, where he goes, of course. The thing is, I think he has the skills and the potential to become a superstar in the sport, but you know, he's in a very tough division right now. You got some great fighters in that division, and but you know, after the Malignaggi fight, we're gonna have to take a step up and fight one of those guys, and I'm looking forward to the challenge, though, and I think Amir's up for it. He's a great athlete, he has a lot of potential, but again, to foresee the future I'm not going to do that.
What's your favorite part about Amir? What do you like? Dedication?
His work ethic. You know, he trains really hard. He runs hard. He's the only guy that can keep up with Pacquiao as far as work ethic goes, and he trains hard. So you know, I don't like lazy people in boxing. He's not one of those guys.
Great. All right. So these are some of the fan questions. This is from Gopal Rao from San Francisco. What are your thoughts of James Toney in the UFC? Do you think he will succeed?
No. James is a good friend of mine. I love James Toney, but he doesn't have a ground game, and he's not that big a puncher. I think UFC is just using him to show him getting beat by one of their guys, and they have a better sport than we do. I think they're just using him as a stepping stone, and I wish James wouldn't do it, but James will make his own decisions.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, how important do you think is boxing in the UFC? And I understand, you know, I box myself. I understand that, you know, in boxing there's a lot more technique involved, a lot more polishing than in the UFC. Since it's you know, we can only use our arms as far as contact. How do you think is boxing in the UFC? Is it starting to be more and more important, or do you think that everything else is still primary?
No, because UFC's they heading more towards boxing by show, let's face it, because now, you know, they have the rules where if they're on the ground for a certain amount of time, they lift them up and we get them back to the stand-up, because people like the stand-up part of UFC. I mean, you know, I know there's a science to the sport on the ground, and it's, you know, I mean, they're talented guys out there, but I'm just not a big fan of that. But, you know, the thing is, I get to train the best UFC fighters in the world. I train Anderson Silva, Penn, Andre Arlovsky, GSP's on his way. People talk to me about helping him with his stand-up. So I think the sport is gearing more towards stand-up than the ground game. I'm sure they're not going to get away from it completely, but it's heading in that direction, because the best part of UFC is when they're striking. So, you know, again, two guys wrestling on the ground, not my thing.
Not your thing, gotcha. This is from Daniel Marley. Do you think that ever you will have the same kind of bond with another fighter as you do with Manny?
No, I think Manny's once in a lifetime type deal. You know, we have a great relationship inside and outside the ring. You know, it's a very functional working relationship, though, and You know, I'm pretty close with most of my fighters and so forth, but Pacquiao probably a little bit extra. So I think it's a one-time deal.
Thank you. From Alex Gutierrez. I know you've been asked this a million times, but do you foresee a day when you're just gonna quit boxing and?
You know, when I can't be functional and I can't do it, when I can't catch in the mitts, if I get that old, I'll probably quit. Yeah, but I'm nowhere close to that. So
good to hear.
I'm not going anywhere.
Good to hear. Very good. Dennis from Elk Grove, California, wants to know, having trained under the great Eddie Futch, what fundamentals from him are you using to train your current fighters?
Well, you know, he trained me as a fighter, so I get a lot of his technique and so forth. But mostly is the rules of Eddie Futch. Don't change a fighter. You know, because they always, once the bell rings and once they get hit, they're always going to go back to what they are. So you've got to work, be honest with yourself and know what you're working with, and where you can improve that. And the things that the things you do well, we don't need to work on so much. But the thing is, the things we don't do well is what the key to getting inside their head and making them believe in you. And the thing is, Eddie was very good at that, and he's kind of passed that along to me, and I hope to pass it on to somebody soon because I'm a very open person. But the thing is, Eddie, he was quiet and calm and so forth, but you really wanted to listen to him because he had, great things to say. And I don't really believe in the corner that, go get him, hype a guy up and stuff like this. I believe in giving the fighter direction and so forth, and that's where I stole that from Eddie, of course.
Good. That actually leads into the next question from Matt O'Brien, San Francisco. How much of Pacquiao's success is due to his raw talent versus his training?
Well, I would say about 50-50. Raw talent is taking him a long way. Refining him has helped him with the bigger weight divisions and bigger, stronger fighters, of course. I can't see Manny Pacquiao fighting recklessly like he did at 122 at 147 because he just was getting hit too much. His defense wasn't that good. He didn't really know how to set things up at that time. I mean, by fighting in higher divisions and bigger challenges, we had to improve. So we're still trying to improve. So we haven't peaked yet.
Okay. Now, some questions for myself to you. And again, if I get a little too personal, please tell me to shut up and leave. Okay. All right, Fred. So. After you, or even now, you have the Parkinson's, and it makes life harder. By the way, I gotta say something for myself. When I